Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Vietnam. No, good morning.
I wonder,
Morning,
like, do the young
everywhere.
kids even know that anymore? Like, or is that just for us old people?
Yeah, definitely. We've aged out of pop culture. There's a lot of, someone once said that, remember the smaller floppy disks, the little ones?
Yeah,
Someone
yeah.
said, oh, you 3D printed the save icon? How cool.
That's hilarious. Well,
Yeah.
welcome everybody to Cacao Conversations this morning. I'm Julieta, and I'm here with my lovely friend Graciela. And
Way to roll the R this morning. So gorgeous. Thank you. Yes, Graciela. I'm loving your hair this morning. It looks fabulous.
so Okay, so confessions. Normally, I run from recording this to yoga class. And so in hot yoga, this hair will not be down. I do watch people who do hot yoga with their hair down, and I can't understand how they can do it. Like, I feel like I'm going to be strangled, suffocated, like something. I don't know.
Wow.
So the hair is always in the messy bun that for the first time in my life I can create a messy bun because my hair is long enough. But today I have a Zoom training that I have to do, and so I have to skip yoga class. So I thought it's the perfect day to let the hair flow.
Absolutely. Rapunzel. I love it.
Oh man.
I have to ask, it begs the question. Did you have a little tussle with a vampire? What do you got going on there?
Yeah, so
If
those
you
who
guys
are
are just
watching on
listening to this,
video,
please go on
I,
video. Yes.
I've got some lovely marks on my neck that do look like I was bitten by a vampire. I think I might be immortal now. So expect this podcast to continue for millennia to come. And no, but the other night, um, my cat was trying to snuggle in with me, and like he wanted to snuggle like next to me on the edge, but there wasn't quite enough room for him. Oh, now he's jumping around because he knows I'm talking about it. um, there wasn't quite enough room, and so as he was trying to snuggle in, like he just started falling off the bed, and the only thing that was there for him to grab was my neck. And so his claws went into my neck. Here I was like, oh my god, he's punctured my jugular. I'm gonna bleed out and die. But I
You're like,
did.
this is
So I
it.
actually must have been bitten by a vampire, and I'm now immortal. So
I mean, the fact that we can see it on camera must mean it's pretty intense. So
it,
I totally get how that must have been challenging, I guess.
it was intense. I dropped quite a few F bombs, um,
Oh,
screamed
but
at the cat a little bit.
most importantly, the cat's okay though, right?
The cat is fine. That thing is such a beast. It is more powerful than all of us. Hence
I
the
was
name
gonna
Merlin.
say,
He is the
yeah,
magician.
it'll probably outlive us all, right?
Probably. Yeah, we're talking about you.
Right,
You're
babe.
yelling at me. Oh man.
Well, this in the annals of what happened this week in North Carolina, I can tell you that we just continue to discover new and exciting bugs. We've been introduced to the wolf spider, which outside is already pretty intimidating, but inside your house is 10 times more terrifying. And then we met also I don't know, something that starts with the letter M, but it ends with stink bug. And so they were hanging around the door, and we just just shooed them away, whatnot. We didn't kill them or anything. And then I was talking to a local about it, and she said, oh yeah, the reason they're called stink bugs is if you kill them, they emit like a really bad smell. And I was like, oh my God. She goes, yeah, so if you ever get any inside your house, just try and like shoo them out nicely and don't kill them because you'll pay for it.
Oh
So
man.
yeah,
I've never
it's
heard of
wild
those.
kingdom here. Yeah. Well, it's
Fine,
about to
fine.
be elk time too. Like we've seen a ton of deer. I keep trying to do Facebook lives and show the deer, but by the time I walk outside, they're already like and then they run off. But yeah, we have had, like, my neighbor, I think their grass must be more delicious than mine because they've had like 6 to 8 at a time in their front yard. But yeah, elk are, if we drive a little bit north, we'll be able to have some elk sightings, which is pretty cool. I'm excited.
Yeah, wow. I didn't know that there were, because we, as far as I know, we don't have any elk in Wisconsin. So I did not.
Mhm.
And like when my dad and brother go elk hunting, they travel to other states to do so. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
the
they're
first
giant.
time I saw it, it was pretty cool. But then I noticed that one of the elk on this tour had a black collar on, and I was like, "Oh, wait a minute! Like, this is a planted elk, like the poor thing." So yeah, I'm sure a lot happens, for the sake of tourists, but there's a million of them. They're everywhere. A friend of mine was hiking the other day and she came face to face with one. Really, you forget how big these things are in real life, like, especially things like moose. Like, I would love to see that, and I'd be terrified to see that.
Well, and I am no expert. Like, we'll have to bring my dad on the show if you want the expert version of all of this. But my understanding is that elk, or not elk, moose can be very dangerous. Like,
Yeah.
you don't want to come face to face with a moose unless you are hunting for one, and then
Yeah.
hopefully you have your weapon.
Generally, I think anything that has more legs than me, I don't mess with. And anything that's like the size of, let's say, a car or bigger, yeah, we're good. Like, highly respect you, your space, do what you do. I'll stay over here. It's okay. Yeah. Animals that big, I don't know.
Well, I feel like this kind of segues into our topic for the day is, what is one lesson you've learned from a challenging experience?
Mm. You go first today. Let's see what comes
So,
to
well,
mind.
when I read that, I always think of, like, I feel like, um, well, I guess this was the most physically challenging experience because, I guess like when I look at other people look at my life, like they're like, she's crazy, all the stuff that she does. Um, but the physically most challenging thing that I did was, it was probably like 10, no, probably like 12 years ago. This friend of mine, for years, he was like, you have to come to the Dominican Republic to climb Pico Duarte over the holidays. Because it's a thing down there that the crazy outdoorsy people go and climb Pico Duarte, which is, by mountains, it's no Mount Everest, but it is the highest peak in the Caribbean. It's
Mm.
around 10,000 feet. And so finally, like I said, it was like 12 years ago. I finally was like, okay, I'm coming. And one of my besties was coming with me. I was married at the time. My husband was coming. And, but how do you train for climbing a mountain in Florida, which is completely flat? And at that time, my office was on a third floor. So like I would take the stairs as much as possible. And my friend, because I said to him, are you sure, like, this is something I can do? And he's like, yeah, it's like, you don't need oxygen or something like that. It's just hiking.
It's just hiking. That's a red flag. When they tell you that,
So,
red flag.
like, after I'd fully committed and bought my tickets and we're all going, he's like, you started training, right? And I'm like, you said this was easy. Like, and I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, and at the time, like, yes, I was doing cardio. I was doing like elliptical treadmill, you know, hiking in Florida, whatever you call that. And climbing the stairs. But like, what else was I going to do? So anyway, we get there, and like what he failed to tell me was, it wasn't that we were just climbing this 10,000-foot mountain, but we had to climb over all these other mountains to get to that mountain.
Whoa. Wow.
And
Wow.
yeah. And honestly, like I am like slow and steady. I can keep going. Like endurance is well, it's not the best that it's been right now, but like typically that, like, don't ask me to sprint, don't, but I'll just keep going at my pace. I will get there. And so that wasn't so much the problem, but it was like all the up and down and the up and down and the up and down, and like the floor, or the, not the floor, the trails that we were walking on were like rocky. They weren't even smooth. And so like you had to watch like every single step you took. And like I twisted my ankles a couple times because of those damn rocks, and my knees were in so much pain. But I did make it to the top of that mountain on my own 2 feet. And it was kind of one of those moments like, I can do anything. Like, it just, you put your mind to it, even if it seems impossible, you can do it. Good morning, Vanessa. Long time no see.
That's an amazing, that's an amazing accomplishment. I mean, I've not climbed a mountain per se, but I've done a lot of physically challenging, experiences. And you're right, there's this whole arc of challenging experiences, and it's like, I can do this. I'm going to die. This is great. This is the worst thing I've ever done. Who got me into this? This is terrible. And then, I used to do marathons, and we used to say like right around mile 18, that's when you start questioning, like, what am I, why am I here? Why am I doing this? Who got me into this? I hate all of you. Like when you see in the movies, the moms are giving birth and they're like, I hate you, like same thing. And then that last, half mile, for example, it's pure euphoria. It's like all of a sudden you get this like massive energy, and you push to the end, and it's all of a sudden like you forgot that you were ready to murder all of your friends a minute ago. So and I agree with you, it does give me this I can do anything feel, right? Like, and I remind myself of things like that all the time. Like, if I can survive this, I can survive that. This was the hardest thing. And it's probably some trauma-based response, but I like looking at a lot of my adventures as in like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, if I can survive that, then I can survive anything, And so in my head, I kind of play out, I'm sure there's a therapist out there willing to speak on this, but it's like, a relationship, having kids, starting a business, whatever it is, I'm always like, okay, what's the worst that could happen? That's the worst. No big deal. Cake. I got that, I think for me, one lesson I've learned from all of my challenging experiences, and it's sometimes for me, it's the hardest thing, which is trust my gut. I tend to think a lot about everything over and over again. And the more I think about it, the harder everything gets. But the more I feel into it, and the more I just go with that feeling, the better it all turns out. I've had so many near misses and things that, I thought were going to go a certain way. And what if I do this? And what if I do that? And And then I've just said, you know what? Nope, I'm just going to go with my gut feeling. And that gut feeling always takes me to the right place. And if it doesn't, if that place isn't the perfect place, it's easier to see the lesson in it, and it's easier to sit in the discomfort, because at least I feel like I was honest with myself. At least I feel that I didn't manipulate myself into a certain situation. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I always feel like that too when I'm talking. I'm like, am I making any sense?
Because when I used to talk about things like this, it would always be, I let someone else manipulate me, or I let someone else tell me what to do, or I followed what someone else told me to do. And as I get older, it really has nothing to do with anyone else. It just has to do with me. So I'm the one manipulating me. I'm the one scaring me. I'm the one making myself smaller. when in fact my gut, my soul, my insides are like, no, this is the path, you know, bigger, smoother, easier, faster, whatever, slower, you know, whatever it is, it really all is coming from me. So that's my biggest lesson, is follow my own gut. I'm never wrong.
And also, like the older you get, the easier it gets to be able to do that, because you just realize that other people don't know better than you. And especially other people don't know better what's right for you. But also, and this related to the post that you put up yesterday in the group, you know, talking about, you know, things having better ease and grace, and really bringing up, like, you know, climbing that mountain, there was no ease and grace in that, and I would not have had all of the positive sides of coming to that accomplishment if I had chosen ease and grace, because there was nothing about that that looked like ease and grace, except for, so the part of the story I didn't share was after we got to the peak and then we came back down to base camp. One of the things that my friend said that was like, okay, I'll go no matter what, was that if for some reason you can't keep hiking, we always have the mules and you can ride a mule. And so I got to the top of the peak on my own feet. I got back to base camp on my feet. But at that point, then my knees were killing me. Like every step was painful. And so, so I was like, that's it. I need a mule to take us to the next campsite. And the only mule that they had, her name was Paloma. And she had everybody else that trip that had tried to ride her, she had bucked them off. And so I sat with Paloma a little bit before we were leaving and just had a conversation with her and told her my situation and how much I needed her, and that if she took good care of me, I would take good care of her. And at that stage in my life, I had never ridden an animal before. Like maybe like a pony on one of those, you know, the ones that are like on the wheel that just go around in a circus, like at the fair or whatever. Yeah. I had never ridden a horse or nothing. And so then the guides tell me, well, since you're not an experienced rider, when we get to the really steep parts, you're going to have to get off and walk. And I was like, but those are the worst parts for my knees. But anyway, right. So, you know, we would ride a couple steep spots. I got down and, you know, walked down on my feet. But after a while, they're like, I don't believe you that you've never ridden before. You look like a natural. And so they were like, the next hill, like if you want to stay on the mule, go ahead and stay on. So I rode the mule back the whole rest of the way. And like she and I were besties, no bucking me off or anything. But the crazy part was we were walking along this long, flat spot. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, she just starts running. And we're like, what's going on? Wow. And all of a sudden we hear this loud pop and this giant tree falls to the ground behind us. Wow. And I'm like, oh my God, Paloma just saved my life. Like she knew the tree was going to fall and she was like, we're out of here.
Yeah. Talk about following your gut. That's amazing. Isn't that amazing? Wow.
Animals know how to follow their guts and we get to like learn from them.
And they're, you know, and they're so present. It reminds me of one of my TikToks. You know, I love a TikTok the other day, which was beavers, while they're chomping on a tree, they pause and they just sit real still and they listen. And they're listening for little cracks in the tree to avoid, you know, because they'll eat through the tree. So at some point, obviously the tree's going to, you know, fall over. But they're paying attention, you know, they're very aware, right? Interesting. Well, that seems like a heck of a story, Julietta. Kudos to you for surviving all that.
It was one of those things like, you know, you're talking about, I was like, the friend that had convinced me to go, I was like, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. And I mean, the whole entire trip, there was, so on day 2, which was the longest day, the friend that I went with and my husband, like, they were both like natural athletes. And, I was like, fine, like, just go ahead, leave me some water. And the thing was, I didn't realize one of the stops where we were supposed to get water, because like the mountain water there is clean and pure to drink, and so that's where we would fill our water along the way. And one of the stops, there wasn't any enough running water to fill, and so the camelback that they left me had almost no water in it. And so at one point I was like completely out of water. I've never felt this way before, but like there was some drips of dew like running down the side of a like cliff wall. And I was like looking at it like, is it okay for me to lick the water off the wall? like
Wow.
That was probably the one time in my life that I like truly understood like thirst.
Wow.
And so I had some additional difficulties that were probably resultant of me being dehydrated that day. And
Sure.
I blame
my
ex-husband and my friend that they left me without enough water.
But the question the audience wants to know, did you lick the wall?
I did not lick the wall because I didn't know, like, if I might get some horrible tropical disease if I lick the wall.
We'll have to Google.
I probably should have just licked the wall, but
if anyone has ever licked the wall in where Dominican Republic, you said, please chime in. Please let us know. Yes. As a matter of fact, funny, because the other day I bought I forget what it's called, but kind of like Life Straw or something like that, where it looks like a giant syringe. Maybe it's like 8 inches or something, but essentially it cleans the water regardless of the source. So you could go into a creek or river, whatever, and if it's, because like you said, I don't know if it's good or clean or not, and particularly that I didn't grow up in this area, so I don't know which one's the good one and the bad one, and I'm pretty sure everything and everybody is peeing in there anyway. So anyway, so I just got one of those, just in case, you never know. I've got a pack full of stuff I hope I never use. So
survivalist Graciela there.
I mean, well, little by little, baby steps. I have time.
Oh man.
Well, this has been a fun and exciting episode. I am loving this new format. I love chatting like this. I do miss some of our interviews, but we have such a good archive on the website. And where else, Julieta? Like Apple,
YouTube, and Apple Podcast, Spotify. You can listen to us anywhere you want to listen to us, because I'm sure you can't get enough of us.
Well, at least of our guests. We've had such amazing guests over the years. So I know it's been a while, but if you guys are bored, definitely jump in there and look for some juicy stuff. I think we've covered all of the major topics.
Yeah, there's so much out there. And interestingly, we're a little under 200 episodes shy of 18,000 downloads. So if you wanna help boost our numbers, go out there and listen to an episode or two. And also I just want to let everybody know that we are kind of dropping the Voices of the Goddess branding, and all of this falls under Body and Soul Ministries. So we are little by little shifting everything over to the Body and Soul Ministries banding. And just for clarity, these podcasts, by listening to them, you are assuming membership to Body and Soul Ministries.
Well, I love that we have this big, gorgeous umbrella for all of our work now, because, what started off as just a simple podcast has evolved into so many different types of events and experiences and retreats. And I can't wait for our 4 elements retreat. That's going to be so cool. I know we're doing more Sophia goddesses retreats as well. So I'm just really pumped up, it's exciting.
Yeah, for those listening, we're doing the next 1-day retreat down here. It's actually going to be in Delray Beach. I found a really cool location where we can be nice and comfy all day. And so on December 7th will be the next voice or activate the goddess within. Too many goddess words. Activate the goddess within number 4 will be on December 7th. So the details are they up? I don't even remember right now if it's live on. I think it's live.
You
Yes,
all know how to get a hold of us.
Yeah, but reach out. We'll be happy to answer questions. And oof. All right. I got a busy day. So you ready to go?
Let's do it. Have a great day, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Have a magical day.